Immortal Empires has been with us for roughly 2 months now, so I think it's time to start speculating about lords that may appear in Warhammer 3 in the future. In this video, which I hope is the first in a new series, we take a look at the High Elves and their characters that could be added to Warhammer 3. We will also consider if the lords make more sense in a booster pack, focus solely on the High Elves where we get 3 or 4 lords, or if they have a strong enough theme to be pitted against an enemy in the more traditional lord pack. Currently we have 6 High Elf lords. On the island home of Ulthuan we have Tyrion, Alariel and Eltharion. Seeking vengeance against the Dark Elves in Nagrond we have Alithana. On the east coast of the extended Southlands we find the High Lore Master Teclis, and finally in the Darklands, searching for lost dragons, we have Imric. These lords give us a pretty good mix of melee, ranged and caster lords, but there are more characters for the High Elves and plenty of locations they could be placed. First up we have Althran Stormrider. He is a prince who served in the Elven fleet and rides upon the Griffin Sharpclaw. He and his ancestors are well known for leading High Elf armies to far-off lands across the Warhammer world. This basically gives us free reign to place him anywhere that takes our fancy. He commands the High Elf warship Flame of Asuryan and is closely related to the renowned magical bolt thrower Morai's Harvest. He would be another melee-focused lord, wielding a lance when mounted and a sword and shield when on foot. To set him apart, we could give him the High Elf equivalent of a Black Ark, allowing him access to recruitment outside of settlements. He would lead the faction of Valyrian and could either be placed in Ulthuan or preferably further afield, perhaps taking the fight to Chaos in the northern Chaos Wastes. While I like Althran and find his lore quite appealing, I think he would be best suited as an FLC lord, or as a lord in a High Elf booster pack. I don't think he has a strong enough theme to warrant a dedicated lord pack spot. Unfortunately, this will be repeated over many of the lords that I mention during this video. Chances of Althran ever appearing are probably quite low. Next we have Arandir Swiftwing, Lord of Tor Elir in Eldyrion. Arandir served with great honour in the Illyrian Reavers, so could boost their stats across the faction. But Arandir was injured in battle, suffering a crippling wound to his leg, and as such he now rides aboard an enchanted starward chariot into battle. Much like Althran, Arandir could lead the faction of Elrion, and would be best suited as an FLC lord. The chances of his appearing, I'd say, are very low, though I think he would be a good addition to a High Elf booster pack. Next up is Belannaer the Wise, the lore master from the Kingdom of Safari, who holds the position of Master of the White Tower of Hoeth. He spends most of his days deep in research, but his duties also include keeping a watchful eye on High Elf society for any sign of Druchii infiltration. In battle he wears the Cloak of Stars, which weakens enemy blows, and carries the Blade of Belcohadres, the Book of the Phoenix, and the Staff of Sios. These magical artifacts make him a powerful spellcaster on the battlefield. Belannaer would greatly improve his faction's research and would reduce the effectiveness of enemy agents within his territory. The problem for Belannaer: we already have a powerful caster lord in Teclis, and Belannaer doesn't have a strong theme or rivalry to draw from for a lord pack appearance. But as part of a booster pack, Belannaer could certainly make the cut. If I had the choice, I'd place him on the tip of Lustria, perhaps leading an expedition from Safari. We have an elven outpost there which could be replaced by Belannaer, who could be off searching for some important artifact in the jungles of Lustria. The chances of Belannaer joining the elven host as a lord? Very low, but if he was added as a legendary hero, I think his odds would be quite improved. The fourth character on our list is Caradryan, captain of the Phoenix Guard. He rides the Frostheart Phoenix Ashtari into battle, and wields the Phoenix Blade, which increases his strength over other elves. As captain of the Phoenix Guard, it would probably be thematic for him to have access to some spells from the Law of Fire, but his primary focus would be melee. I think Caradryan is the perfect candidate for a legendary hero for the High Elves, improving the Phoenix Guard and all Phoenixes in the faction. His chances of appearing are pretty good if Creative Assembly starts adding more legendary heroes, as he appears in the 8th edition High Elf Army book. Next we have Korhil, captain of the White Lions, hailing from the region of Thrace. He is widely considered the strongest elf in all of Ulthuan, as he wields his great axe Chayal in one hand. He wears the Chirandris, an enchanted cloak made from a lion pelt. Much like Caradryan, I feel that Korhil may be best suited to the role of a legendary hero, boosting lions and the White Lion units. I do, however, think that of the two captains, Korhil would make a more interesting legendary lord. He could either start on Ulthuan, though that's a busy place right now, or perhaps be off in the heart of Lustria, testing his strength against the local beasts. I also think his chances of appearing are pretty good, as he is also part of the 8th edition lore, which Creative Assembly have drawn from primarily. Princess Eldyra is our next candidate. The youngest character on our list, she has served as Tyrion's squire in the past. She is the daughter of the fallen elven hero Eldyra, who is regarded with great respect across Ulthuan, and has taken up her father's sword to serve the Phoenix King. She rides upon her trusty steed Maladros in battle, and is a capable melee fighter. While her father may have been a good candidate for a legendary lord, I feel that Eldyra is more suited to the hero role, and being a squire, she could boost the stats of whichever lord she accompanies into battle. The chances of Eldyra appearing, I think, are very low, as she has little lore and little to make her stand out from the crowd. Nevertheless, I hope that Creative Assembly add her to the game. Perhaps the most likely character to be added in the Lord Pack is Sea Lord Aislinn, commander of the High Elf fleet. Aislinn comes from the region of Kothic and is most famous for his campaign against Marienburg and his rivalry with Lokia Fellheart. Despite his numerous victories, many High Elves find Aislinn's methods quite questionable, considering him overly vicious. Being the commander of the Sea Guard, he would have a ship mechanic, much like the Black Arcs that the Dark Elves enjoy, and this would help set him apart from other High Elf lords. If he were to appear in-game, he could start off the coast of Marienburg, or, preferably for me, on the island chain off the tip of Ind. We already have a minor High Elf faction there, and Aislinn would have a unique campaign starting from this position. I think the chances of Aislinn appearing are very good. In fact, I think he will be the next High Elf Lord added to the game, though with all the races needing attention, it may not be for a couple of years. The last character I wanted to mention has very little lore, and probably very little chance of appearing, but it's his attachment to the Gates of Calith that make him interesting to me. For those that don't know, the Gates of Calith are a pair of elven fortresses in the far east, situated on the tips of Koresh and the southern Chaos Wastes, where the landmasses are closest. The commander of the fortress is Mage Lord Torinubar, who has watched over the gates for centuries and fought off many raids by Dark Elves, Skaven, and Beastmen hordes. The elves that reside within this region have been isolated from Ulthuan for many years, and little is known about them, so Creative Assembly would have some free reign with their playstyle and units. Two issues. Firstly, Koresh is currently a region that cannot be crossed, but hopefully that will change in the future. Secondly, Torinubar is thought to have been killed by a Skaven assassin, but CA could resurrect him quite easily. I would love to see the High Elves of Calith join the game at some point, and Torinubar could be Creative Assembly's chance to give us their own unique take on an elven lord, much like they did with Salustra for the Vampire Coast. I think the chances of Torinubar making an appearance, unfortunately, are slim to none, but a man can hope. So there we have missing High Elf characters that we may see down the line. I'd love to see at least 2 or 3 of these show up as lords to give the High Elves a bit more variety in starting locations and playstyle. However, with the High Elves currently sitting on 6 lords, I don't think they'll get more than 1 in a lord pack and maybe 1 as an FLC. So if we want to see 3 or 4 new lords, it would have to be as a booster pack in much the same style as the Chaos Warriors recently enjoyed. So that's enough rambling from me about the High Elves, so I ask you these following questions. Which lord would you like to see most? And would you prefer them in a lord pack or as part of a larger booster pack, focused solely on the High Elves, improving their mechanics that, let's face it, are sorely in need of some help? Let me know your choice in the comments below. Also, if there is anyone I missed, please share them in the comments section. I'd love to know who they are. Or join the Discord and post them there. I'm Grey Tiger. Thanks for watching. Be sure to read those credits, and I'll see you in the next episode.